Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. We're going to do a 1 month update on Prismatic Evolutions, the set to beat. How are the cards doing? How's the box doing? Should you buy it? Sit back, relax, and welcome to PokeMarketLab. All right, another set update here. Prismatic Evolutions. This is the set. You know what my feelings on this one. I love the set. Concerned about the box price and whether it's getting into the hands of people that actually open the stuff and enjoy it, and we want it to be a part of the lexicon of the Pokemon community for a long time. And I don't know if that's happening, but we'll get into that in a second here. Let's start off like we always do. Let's get an update on the box performance here, starting off with what is going to be and is one of the most collectible boxes, seal boxes of all time. It's certainly going to be the most collectible Pokemon Center Elite Trainer box of all times. That is the PC ETB, the Pokemon Center ETB, with the exclusive EV Pokemon Center logo stamped card here. Absolutely adorable, cute card. Again, we know it, to beat a dead horse here, we know what happens with these Pokemon Center stamp promos. This one's no different. So you have an awesome set with an awesome promo in this really what has become a collectible box here, and it's already doing just Pokemon Center ETB things here. So it's up 19% over the last 30 days, last month, sitting at $313. Remember, these retail on the Pokemon Center website for $60. So this is already well and truly well above that. So if you were able to grab any of these on pre-order, congratulations. If you have them, hold on to them, please, unless you need the money, of course. But these are going to do phenomenally well. It's going to age like fine wine over the years here, and we've seen a lot of the promo sell here. We're going to look at the promo in a second. Wild that anyone would actually open one of these to get the single. Keep it sealed. Don't ever open them. If you're going to open products, get anything else to open. Don't open these. Just a phenomenal set, a phenomenal box, I should say. Again, I wish they separated the image on the box or the artwork or the design on the box differently. Go look at Crown Zenith. The difference between the regular ETB and the Pokemon Center ETB, it's wildly different. And I wish they would do that here instead of, you have to be really careful. If you're buying both of these boxes, I almost made the mistake of opening a Pokemon Center ETB by mistake, thinking it was a regular one. And especially this one where it's a very faint difference here right below EV, that logo, that's really the only difference. You have to be really careful. And God, I would hate myself if I opened a Pokemon Center ETB instead of a regular one. So be careful there. I have a few of these. These are definitely going to the prized possession category for sure. And again, looking at that single, that Eevee here, it's a beautiful, cute card. You get the plushies surrounding Eevee. They're taking a nap. It's just an awesome card, and this is doing really well. This tag here is actually wrong. My mistake. It's actually sitting at $124 for near mint copies of this. And again, it was wild is how many of these, again, have actually sold, meaning that people are cracking the Pokemon Center ETB to get this promo. Just, again, keep it sealed. Just buy the single if you really want it. There's only 40 of these left on TCG Player. This card is probably underpriced long term. It's an EV card. These are rare. Who in their right mind, I mean, I know people have opened these, but who in their right mind now would open a $300 ETB that will easily be a $500 ETB, probably in less than 18 months, to get a single card? It just doesn't make sense. So my point here is the population of this single is always going to diminish over time. So my guess is this card is probably pretty undervalued at this point. All right, looking at the regular ETB, this is done a little bouncing around. It's some interesting things happening here. So I've said this before. Well, let's talk about the price of the box first. So, before release, we were pushing, I believe it was about $150 per ETB, and then post release, all the supply comes to market on TCG Player here, which is what we typically look at to analyze pricing. And the price, we saw that dip. So you can see the bottom there, the trough kind of ended at the end of January here, which got as low as about $103, $105 a ETB, and then bounced. We've seen it bounce back up and settle around this $128 mark here. So we've seen a lot of, and I think a lot of this was retail arbitrage. We had a lot of people picking up product at Walmart, at Target, anywhere they could get it, at MSRP. I saw this on Facebook Marketplace constantly, people trying to offload ETBs. And a lot of that just happened through TCG Player, right? You could get I don't know what they exactly retail for, if they're at the 50, it's close to that mark. Essentially a $50 ETB and turn it into a $100 ETB, even through TCG Player, fairly quickly, even with fees and shipping. You could make some really quick money. And so I think what we're seeing is some abnormally large volume of ETBs being sold through TCG Player, which I think dropped that price. We also had the reprint announcement, right? So I think there's a lot of people who were justified or kind of made their own justification that, hey, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait and get this product. I'm going to take the chance that I might not ever be able to get it and just wait and hope they print the bejesus out of this thing and bring that price down. And I think, kudos to the people who can make that determination and say, this isn't for me at this price. I'm going to wait, or I'm going to pick up the singles. And unfortunately, a lot of people have been priced out of singles too. Some of these SIRs are extremely expensive, which we're going to go into in a few minutes here. But yes, the ETB's holding up really well. I would have thought it would have stayed around the $100 price point as interest kind of waned. I think Journey Together not being a behemoth of a set, you can say it's an okay set. You can say it's a decent set. You can even say it's a good set. It's no Prismatic. It's no Surging Sparks. It's nothing like that. And so I think, Surging Sparks, we were always concerned with, and this certainly happened to a point, that the focus, both from a money and focus standpoint, was going to shift from from Surging Sparks to Prismatic. And I think that happened to a certain point. With Journey Together, I don't think there's an interest pulling it away necessarily. I think that if anything, there's more interest from the follow-on set, which is going to be Team Rocket, kind of people waiting to put money into that set down the road. So what's going to happen with the ETB, we can kind of make some speculation as we get towards the end of the video here, but I think it's just going to kind of keep bouncing around here. I don't know that there's any kind of event that's going to, or any kind of push this one way or the other. I think it's really just waiting for reprints. And when that materializes, is it going to be clear that it materializes? Is it going to be massive? I think the demand signal from the market, which is why the Pokemon Company, made this announcement that they're going to reprint it, was to reprint the crap out of this. And I think if there's any set that I would like to see, I don't want to say obliterated, but I would love to see this get down to $75 a box. I think that would change its dynamic, its growth dynamic long term. If we could get it down to $75 a box, I think it would get in the hands of people who would enjoy it. I think it would help from the single standpoint, which we're going to look into in a second here. Remember, the pull rates on the set are difficult, extremely difficult. It's not fun. So I think if we could get it down to the point, pull rates don't live in a vacuum. Pull rates matter in terms of in the context of the box price itself, right? If you have terrible pull rates, but the box is cheap, it kind of weighs differently, right? But we can't really truly speculate on what we're going to see for price post reprint. I would think the reprint will be big enough again that we will feel it in the market. I don't know if it'll actually be announced. We don't know when it's going to be. As we get further down the line here, it's going to get pretty close to Journey Together. And again, where's that fight going to be? Is that going to steal? There's going to be some cannibalization one way or the other in the market at that point. It's I don't know that there's enough money in the market necessarily to not to cannibalize the other. I think the pressure, the focus is going to be on Prismatic. I think that's the one that everyone's going to care about. I think there's a non-zero amount of people who are really and truly waiting to see if they can get cheaper Prismatic with this reprint. And I think that was the whole point of the reprint announcement, was to say, hey, if you are priced out of the market, don't fret, we're gonna get product to you. The question again is going to be, does that go through retail channels again and it just gets scalped and it gets hoarded? Are those people going to panic and start dumping product and get left holding the bag? Or do we see more go through LGSs? We saw a ton of product. I don't have any data on this. This is just anecdotal from what I've seen on like Facebook Marketplace and so on and so forth. A lot of product get picked up through typical retail channels. So we will see what happens on the reprint. Now looking at that Eevee again. So this is the non-Pokemon Center stamped version of this card. A ton ton of these have sold. So over 7,000 in the last month have sold, sitting at a healthy $10. Now, obviously, a lot of cracking going on in the set, so there's still a lot of these available on TCG Player with over 700 listed. To some extent, you'll see cracking slow down at some point. Just the equilibrium of singles prices and box prices will just people are gonna the cracking is gonna slow, right? The cracking is always heaviest towards release day. So this is sitting at $10 again. It's 11% reduction in the last 30 days. This is a very, very solid card. It's possibly speccable depending on what happens with that reprint. If that reprint is heavy, you might want to. There may be a whole mass of cracking that happens if that box hits closer to that $75 price point. I don't know if it will. Again, I'm just speculating. I'm guessing at this point. That means a lot more cracking is going to happen. That means a lot more singles, a lot more EV come to market. So just keep that in mind at this price. Again, if the reprint's soft, if it's not as heavy as we think, it could mean some really good solid growth. This is going to be more than a $10 card 5 years from now. We'll put it that way. And then looking at some interesting numbers, I kind of pulled just to show how many ETBs have actually been cracked. So we've seen over 9,848 of these EV promos. Remember, this is from the ETB sold. Available or sold on TCG Player. So that represents 9,848 ETBs cracked to get this single, which is actually as funny as 68% of the total volume of ETBs sold through TCG Player thus far. So again, it's not a one-to-one because not every sold ETB is necessarily cracked. I just thought it was interesting to see the comparison in promos versus ETBs sold. All right, one thing I wanted to highlight, the surprise box. This actually just came out. I believe it was February 7th was the launch date for this product. It's not held up very well. So this was it was a little over $100 before release day on February 7th. So this did not release with the main line of the set on January 17th. And this has taken quite a bit of a hit, 38% reduction in the last couple weeks. Again, this hasn't been out very long. And again, I speculated on these cards a little bit that these could do well because it has a different logo on it than the regular cards, right? It has a prismatic logo on it, and what we've seen with the Pokemon Center stamped logo is that separation can cause some demand for some of those that specific card. And they're much more rare. The surprise box, you get one of these promos and it's random, so even then you're not getting a certain amount of these into market necessarily for each one. So I thought it would do well for these individual logoed singles, but that really hasn't panned out here. So looking at some of these cards, the Umbreon's done fairly well, sitting at a healthy $77. So that's actually more than that box price we were just talking about right now, but it's only increased about 5% in the last month. And all the other cards have taken pretty heavy hits. So all these Evolutions cards are sitting about that $18 to $20 price point. So certainly, considering you only get 4 packs plus the promo in the box, it's not even worth it from a single standpoint for that $68 box price. And again, I thought this was a slam dunk. It made sense to me that these would do better. They're Evolutions. They have the stamp on them. We've seen what happens with certain stamped cards in the past. Maybe they'll do well long term. Maybe the box price slowing down here will mean less cracking, as the market's like, yeah, this isn't really working out the way we thought it would. So, and we just get more sealed surprise boxes instead. So who knows, but just interesting to look at. All right, we are looking now at the top card value by distribution, one of my favorite charts you like to see that I like to do on each of these set reviews and set updates. It just shows visually where that value kind of sits in the top 20 cards from the set. And this is just looking at market price data. So obviously the Umbreon sitting extremely high, and this is actually competing with Moonbreon from Evolving Skies at this point. So that'll be another video we kind of look at and see, which one is going to reign supreme from a long-term standpoint here. Pretty big drop-off after that when we get to the Sylveon and Espeon, and again down the Evolutions here. It's actually a fairly okay gradation here. But again, we got to remember, and we'll look at this in a second, the box price is extremely, and compared to the pull rates and the box price, the pack price of these packs means some of these cards are extremely costly for the market to obtain from a secondary standpoint. Right? I'm not saying individuals necessarily just looking to seek out these cards. If you were any kind of big box store, any of these big LGSs that opens hundreds upon hundreds of ETBs, thousands of packs, it means some pretty significant costs to get some of these cards into your. So what I'm saying is, on the market, what you're seeing from a secondary market standpoint in terms of cost for an Umbreon, a $1,600 card, right? It represents a lot of packs that were opened to get that into market. So just keep that in mind. We'll look at that closely in a second here. We're going to compare some other specialty sets as well. We're comparing Prismatic, Paldean 151, and Crown Zenith together here. This Crown Zenith does include the Galarian Gallery, and it's not even close. Prismatic Evolutions blows all of them out of the water from a total value of all cards in set. It's not even close, which begs the question, for that ETB, it's $130 ETB. It's expensive. However, the cards that are in the set from a total value standpoint, means it's actually, that box may be undervalued long term. The thing that's going to hold it down in the short term is the reprint risk, the fact it's young. There's still a lot of boxes out there. All right, pull rates. So these are the pull rates that you see here from TCG Player. A lot of people, what the rumor is that in reality, most of these are significantly worse than what TCG Player saw. But TCG Player is kind of the gold standard for pull rates. So that's what I'm going to look at. So the chart that you see here is kind of the break-even point. So that blue line represents the $130 price point. These are all the SIRs from the set. Again, total, the value of each card as it stands today, the marketplace price on TCG Player. So you can see heavily weighted towards the top 10 or so cards, meaning you're not going to get your money's worth from a box at that point, even if you did pull an SIR. And remember, it takes, on average, right, any SIR, it's going to take 45 packs to get an SIR, okay? Now, that's not the only value that you can get, right? There's Master Ball hot foils, there's hyper rares, there's ace spec cards that have some value as well as some trainers, right? So it's not just SIR, but again, I just want to illustrate how difficult some of these pull rates are. So even if you pull an SIR, right, 45 packs at 20-something a pack, right? It's a lot of money to get one of those SIRs, a significant amount of money. And I wanted to kind of outline that here, and you can kind of see I pulled top value card from 4 different sets. So the sets we've been talking about here, the specialty sets. I looked at the pull rates, right? On average, what it takes to pull a specific SIR, okay? And then in green below is the pack price, okay? On average, not if you were hunting them, right? If you were hunting them specifically, this is statistics. This doesn't mean this is the guaranteed experience. This is what the average experience is going to be. In green is the amount of packs in cost it would take on average to see one of these cards statistically. So you can see here that Umbreon represents that $1,500 card in the market represents probably on average about $36,000 to spend in opening of packs to get that card into the secondary market. So if you were to kind of look at that as a ratio, this is a terrible ratio. Terrible ratio of difficulty to get those cards to market. Same thing with the Mew here. Not same thing, but looking at the Mew here, $399 card, 1 out of every 465 packs to get that Mew into market, and then so on and so forth with the Charizard and Giratina here. So again, just the difficulty in pull rates is significant. Part of that's to do with the number of SIRs in the set. And again, just because you pull an SIR doesn't mean you're going to get a card that, you pulled enough value to get back what you pulled into it. That's almost never the case to begin with. But so the SIR pull rate isn't terrible. I think 151 was every 32 packs or something like that. So it's not necessarily, it's the number of SIRs that are in there that really, and the fact that, most of those SIRs that you would pull are going to be way less than the amount of packs that that it took to open them. So again, there's just a big disparity there that I wanted to kind of highlight. And now we're going to look like we usually do at the top 6 cards of value from the set and just see how they're performing. So Umbreon actually holding up extremely well, pretty flat for the last 30 days actually, but it's selling. So on average, about 54 of these have sold, average daily sell rate of 2 per day. So there's actually quite a bit of volume for such an expensive card. There's no question. I did not see this holding up that well. The biggest thing here is just, again, it is extremely difficult to get any of this, to get this card. It takes an immense amount of money to pull this card, right? So, and the fact that they're $130 boxes, just this, your supply to be able to get cheap boxes, to open them, to get more of these in the market, there's a high bar there already, right? So that's where, again, the only thing that's ever going to change this is that reprint. If we get a significant, substantial reprint, say what we got on release day and so on and so forth from all these sales channels, if that was doubled, okay, if we get another experience like that, that is the only thing that's ever going to move any of these really big SIRs and the amount of volume that they have available. Just look at these. I mean, these are not selling. They're selling fine. Any of these cards are selling fine, but look how many are left on TCG Player. There's only 15 Umbreons listed here. Sylveon, there's only 28. This is not typical of a specialty or regular booster box after release for SIRs. You would typically see way more of these listed on the market. There's just not enough on the market. There's not enough to change the pricing structure here that we see. Sylveon not holding up quite as well, minus 16% in the last 30 days. Again, only 28 of these listed on TCG Player. It's sold well. 50 cards in the last month is pretty good. Average daily sell rate of 2 per day. It's a beautiful card. All of these cards are beautiful. I just think, again, most people are priced out at this point. I thought it would really have been a singles game here. There's just not enough cards. There's not enough supply in the market to reduce these prices here. I would have thought we'd see more price fighting given the cost basis for these cards. Really, the cost to get your monies back out of these cards is pretty significant. So I thought there would have been more of a race to the bottom, but we have not seen that. Espeon on the right-hand side up 26% in the last month, sitting at a very healthy $400. Again, only 15 of these listed on TCG Player, sold 55 over the last 30 days. And on to the next three. We have Leafeon sitting at $352, minus 20% in the last 30 days. Flareon at $350. Only 10 of these listed on TCG Player, 55 sold in the last 30 days. And Glaceon sitting at 315%, up 12%. In the last 30 days, again, sold 51. So pretty consistent from the top 6 cards here. All right, let's do our recap of everything that we've kind of talked about so far. The first thing we always talk about, what is a set rating? It's an absolutely gorgeous set. I've said it before. I said it in all the previews that we kind of did looking at this set. It's beautiful. You can't deny that. The pack opening experience sucks. I'm going to say it right now, I would rather open Paldean Fates, Crown Zenith. I mean, both of those sets are approaching, similar price points here. I just think the SIRs, the way they are, heavily weighted towards a few of them being really the primary ones, the primo ones. And it's kind of those or bust. It just makes it it did not feel good. And I question the fact that whether this set from a long-term standpoint can really hold up, given it, again, it's just the average person. I can't tell you how many people I talk to who open Pokemon every single set that didn't open this. And that's number one. It's sad. I don't think that's the way we start off a cycle with a product. And number two, I think that I'm hoping that gets rectified again with the reprint. Yes, I want my product to go up over time. I don't want it to go this way. I think this just brings out the people that don't care about the market. They just want to kind of squeeze the market for whatever it is without adding any value to it, i.e., scalpers. And again, I don't disparage these people. I don't disparage stores who want to make money and want to upcharge for products like this versus what they typically offer. I am totally okay with this. Those type of things happen in a market. It's a result of the market. It's not necessarily a result of people, right? It is the result of a market. It brings those kind of people out. But I still think overall it's bad for the market at the end of the day. So I think, again, I really wish, I don't want it to drop to $50. I think if it got below 100, I'd be very, very happy. I think there's a large swath of people that are out there that would dip their toe in on this product. I would dip my toe in this product again for under $100. I would happily ignore Journey together and go all in on Prismatic if we get a significant reprint, and kind of put my money elsewhere at this point. So my set rating for this is going to be an A-. Phenomenal set, and that's just based on the set itself. That's really not anything else. That's not representative of the box price or anything right now. It's just the set, the cards visually. Do I like the set? Yes, of course. It's gorgeous. Reprint risk, extremely high. We know it's going to get reprinted. And again, what's going to get reprinted, when it's going to get reprinted, is it going to get reprinted on top of Journey Together? What's going to happen with that? I think that's probably one of the biggest questions in the next 6 months of this hobby, is really what's going to happen with this reprint. Is it going to be massive? We're still waiting on booster bundles. Those could be massive, right? Those have not come out yet. We know typically in the past, they've done some pretty heavy booster bundle printing even after initial releases to try to get packs into the market. I don't see that changing here. I do think that the ETB is going to get reprinted. I don't think they're going to leave that alone. I don't think they can leave it alone. I think they really have to address it with additional reprints. And maybe they go all in with booster bundles. We get a ton of printing on that, and it gets cheap packs to market. And that really could change the game on singles. I would not speculate on singles from Prismatic. If you want them and you get the money, buy it. Yes, of course. But if you're expecting for them to go up, too much of a black hole of what's going to happen with this set to really spec from my taste. And then again, what's going to happen further down the road? We're going to get multiple reprints on this. Again, I've talked about other sets that need reprinting and so on and so forth. So a lot of black hole stuff happening with this set. And then ETB price target. Take this with a huge grain of salt. I have no idea. Huge asterisk on this one. This is a complete guess. I think long term, 12 months, when we get past that initial reprint, I think it will settle at the $100 price point again, and then maybe it continues to go up. I really have no idea. I don't see it sitting below. If it gets below 100, I don't see it sitting below 100 for long. I just do hope it gets there, because again, I think it will get it. I think there's a lot more people out there willing to pay $75 for an ETB, so paying more than MSRP, but not chasing $130 box. I think there's a lot of people that could be out there that would love to pick it up at that price, and maybe it gives some time for scalpers and such to get their fill. So that's my take on this set. Again, I think it's an awesome set. I just think the experience is bad, if that makes any sense to you. I've opened quite a few ETBs, and it's it just wasn't awesome. It just hurts when it's a $130 product. You don't want to open a $130 product, not and that close to release. Just it's not getting that traction. It's not building those roots into people's hearts and minds that we want it to long term. So that's my take on the set. Let me know what you think in the comments below, of course. And if you like what we're doing here, throw us a like, throw us a subscribe. Again, give us a comment, and we'll see you on the next one. PokeMarketLab out.